cultural Marxism's sole purpose is to bring about misery and to divide the host country that it's in, okay? It's there to bring down the fabric of society of, say, for instance, a capitalist country so that it can install its new policies on it, right? So what you've got to do is you've got to start young and you've got to poison the kids' minds. So this little exercise, it's an old video, but it's important to know. What we're going to do now is sow the division for the future. What we've got to do is make sure that Jack is against Jill, that the blacks are against the whites and all the rest of it. And we've got to install oppression, false, fake oppression into these young kids so that they will grow apart and believe that the other one, well, everybody has it worse than old whitey. I've started a sort of an activist group on Telegram, which is called White Activist, because at the end of the day, this is all about false narratives. This is all about sowing the seeds into the black people's minds that white people are racist, white people are prejudiced, that the black people are oppressed, which is far from the truth, and especially in the UK. Have a watch.
We are going to be running a race. However, your starting position in this race will be decided by the answers to questions that we are going to be asking you.
Sorry, what? It's a joke.
This activity is intended to explore how society favours one race over others.
People often confuse white privilege with being wealthy or being rich, and it isn't about that. What it's about is the absence of having to live with the consequences of racism.
So the old rubbish about white privilege, where what we can do is say that old whitey has more power, more privilege, more everything than we've got. So basically his existence is ever easier than ours simply by the colour of his skin, which is actually rubbish. Now you can go to housing lists for the government and you'll make sure that there are whiteys at the bottom, or you can simply say that there are people in this community that can get away with saying stuff that simply old whitey can't. Many, many years ago, say for instance in the 50s and the 60s and even into the 70s and possibly the very early 80s, you could have said that there was such a thing as white people having it easier than the other colour people of this country. That may well have been a fact, but that's long since vanished. But this is sellable. This is an industry. Racism against white people is a thing, and you're about to see it. This person's going to create the straw man saying that, you know, because you're born black, you therefore have less ability, less rights, less everything else, and you're doomed to fail. Well, that's to suggest that black people aren't capable of making it. Well, I would say that President Barack Obama is literally evidence of that not being the case. The most powerful man in the entire world. And what colour was he? Black. So that kind of blows that one out of the water. Now, I believe life's what you make of it. But if you want to make excuses for yourself, then you can follow the rubbish teachings about to come out of this stupid woman's mouth.
If the question applies to you, you will take a big step forward. If the answer to the question doesn't apply to you, you stay where you are.
I better win, man. Oh.
Okay, make sure you're on the start line. I see some cheaters already.
Yeah, boss.
Feet behind the line.
If English is your parents' first language, take a step forward.
Oh, yeah.
If you have ever been the only person in the room of your race, take a step backwards.
For God's sake!
If you've never been asked where you come from, take a step forward.
If you have never had to be worried about your family being stopped and searched, take a step forward.
I don't get worried about if people ask me to stop and search.
The divide widens, and the inequality of their position becomes clear.
This is just like not fair now.
What they're trying to do at the moment is tell these kids that each one of them is different, right? But we're all the same, aren't we? Isn't that what you're supposed to be educating? You say that men and women are the same. So if men and women are the same, then surely all those kids are the same. There's no differences there. There can't be. Because otherwise that's racism. But now what you're actually doing is telling them there's a difference. So you're installing some sort of grudge between each other and racism. Look, If you're statistically more likely to get stopped, ask yourself the question, why? Is it racism, or is it the fact of probability and statistical numbers that police go on? But the thing is, going forward, this racism business that she's trying to push here at the moment is literally sowing the seeds of division. It's unfair. None of these kids had the chip on the shoulder that she's trying to put there now. And she's proud as punch to be doing it. And she's actually been told to go out and do it. The education system is teaching kids that there's a massive difference. Where, you ever seen what happens when you got two kids grow up together of different colours? They don't notice the colour. When I grew up, I had a friend who was as black as you could get, right? We didn't care. We didn't even take any notice. Occasionally there were some differences. Like, I went round to his house one day and he had all the family over and they were listening to a different type of music to what I would listen to. I went, what's that? He says, reggae. I said, well, that's nice. That was it. Kids can get along. Racism is installed in many ways, and it doesn't just come from, people would say, the far right. The far left install the racism of low expectation. Remember that one, because that's what they're trying to install into these kids here. You will fail because you're black. No, you won't. You'll succeed if you want to. You'll fail if you're lazy or if you want to. But if we give you a nice little cop-out card, then when you do fail, you can feel all right about it. Remember, life's what you make it. Many people from the third world have made it big. And then, well, many people who have had excellent backgrounds have failed badly. Why? It's about what's in here and what's in here, not about this Marxist bullshit that's being encouraged. Now, this may be an old video, but they're still up to this rubbish now. Anyway, on to the next video. I'll see you in a bit.